Hello and welcome to World Talks, where every word matters. With me, Anna Kalczyńska. The U.S. Treasury has announced the transfer of $20 billion to Ukraine. And this package now will go towards humanitarian aid and will give Ukrainians what the U.S. calls a critical infusion of support as it defends itself against the Russian invasion. Now, joining me tonight to explain the scope of needs Ukrainians facing ahead of the coming winter is Pavlo Sheremeta, former Ukrainian Minister of Economy. Good evening, sir, and good to have you.
Good evening, Anna.
Russian forces have pounded Ukrainian civilian infrastructure for nearly 3 years now. So, walk us through the most pressing things the money will be spent on.
Well, the most pressing things, of course, would be repair the humanitarian infrastructure, which, of course, is schools, hospitals, some of the power stations, the ones that can be repaired, as we are facing a long, dark and cold winter with blackouts, especially in Kyiv, in the capital city, and further east. We are talking also about the salaries for the teachers and doctors, because these are financed with the budget, and of course we have quite a significant deficit of Ukrainian budget, because basically all the taxes that Ukrainians are paying, either personal taxes or corporate taxes, all of that finances the war, as we are facing a much bigger and much better endowed and financed enemy.
All right, you say schools, hospitals. I imagine that the needs are enormous. So those $20 billion, is it, what kind of percentage is it in this amount needed?
Well, basically, the budget deficit in Ukraine, from the numbers that I have, is about 36 to $40 billion. So my understanding is that 20 billion is basically covered from the U.S., and the other half, if I may put it this way, will be covered from the European Union, IMF, Japan, and other sources.
That is G7, right. No, but I was asking about the needs of Ukrainians. I mean, do you know what are the needs in financial terms of all those hospitals, schools to be rebuilt?
Oh, that's basically, it's already hundreds of billions. So there's Kyiv School of Economics is keeping track of that, and the number is, from what I remember, is beyond $200 or $300 billion, because the damage is very extensive.
All right, so that gives us a perspective. Thank you for that. How about Ukraine's energy infrastructure? Can it be rebuilt?
Well, as I said, it's badly. It is badly damaged. Basically, we lost because of the bombing, relentless bombing, I should say. We lost half of our production capacity. So as the temperatures are going down, now it's sub-zero in Ukraine. It's snowing heavily in Lviv, where I am. It was also snowing yesterday heavily in Kyiv. The people are switching on their electric warming equipment, and that obviously consumes a lot of energy. So it's my family, which is in Kyiv at the moment, told me about extensive blackouts there.
All right. I would like to move now to the potential negotiations. We're hearing multiple narratives. The Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said that the peace talks could start as early as this winter. After the meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky and Emmanuel Macron, Donald Trump said that Ukraine is ready to negotiate. Of course, the comment immediately denied by Ukrainian president. But what is your take on that? What is the possibility of negotiating right now, this winter?
Honestly, I see little reason for that. Russian troops are advancing. Well, you need two parties for negotiations. That's my point. And Russian troops are going on with their advance, they see no reason to negotiate. I guess they want to extract as much territory as they can, kind of smelling the Ukrainian weakness. We do need more troops in the trenches. We do need more weapons to equip those troops so that they can at least withhold the Russian offense.
I see. How about the peace talks, or at least, the preparation, the ground preparation that Viktor Orban is trying to do? He held a hour-long conversation with Vladimir Putin today. Later on, he wrote on Facebook that we are in the most dangerous weeks of the war. We will use all diplomatic means at our disposal to achieve a ceasefire and to get closer to peace. Now, Volodymyr Zelensky didn't take long to comment on that, saying that no peace talks with Russia could take place without Ukraine, understandably. But somehow, as you say, there takes two to tango, right? So someone has to talk to Russia. So little results so far, but what would you think? How can it happen? At some point, they will have to sit at the negotiating table.
Well, my understanding is that Russia wants to talk to the U.S. About new global order. For Russia, Ukraine basically is too small of the object to discuss. I mean, their ambitions were always global. We believe that, of course, the platform for these ambitions is greatly diminished now because Russia is the economic power, as President Obama said some 14 years ago. Russia is no longer a global power; it's a regional power, and Russia is just trying as much as it can. It just goes out of itself to prove that no, we are a global power. We want to be at the global table discussing these issues. So I guess it's basically like a child. This overgrown bully that just tries to get an attention from like real powers. That's what's going on. Well, now that he gets the phone calls from Orban, I guess that's in preparation of the future possible talks with other leaders. The German chancellor already called him some weeks ago. So I guess that's the attention the Russian president is craving. But I guess the most coveted call should come from the president of the U.S. But hopefully, this will be done at the proper time, not at the Ukrainian cost.
Exactly. So I understand you see the situation as where third parties in European Union are rather pushing for negotiation, and neither Ukraine nor Russia are the most interested in these peace talks. But what are the conditions of the peace that Ukraine would be willing to accept?
Well, Ukraine's official position, of course, is to stop the invasion, pull the Russian forces out, including the territory which was annexed in 2014. That's, Crimea, and those parts of Donbass that were annexed, occupied by Russia in 2014. That includes,
sorry, excuse me. So that would be
Donetsk.
the plan maximum, but we know that negotiation takes something
this is the official,
hold back.
The official Ukrainian position.
All right. And do you think this is achievable?
Well, it can be achieved if Ukraine is armed properly and can present a real danger like Russia presents to Ukraine. Ukraine is basically under constant daily and nightly bombardment that goes on from deep Russian territory. You know, if we can attack Russia at least symmetrically, you know, from the deep Ukrainian territory into the capitals of Russia, I guess, you know, Russia would be more willing to sit at the negotiation table. Of course, we don't have that capacity at the moment. And that is why President Zelensky, I guess last week, he said that, look, we may discuss the current situation provided Ukraine gets a very strong guarantee of its security, which basically means NATO accession.
Okay, but realistically speaking, there will have to be some concessions. So there must be some points where Ukraine will have to cede. Do you see them? Is it territory or is it something else?
Look, I'm not having these negotiations, and I have to tell you that most of Ukrainians are not willing to concede.
All right. Okay, so tomorrow we have a meeting between Emmanuel Macron and Donald Tusk. Don't you think that these are two politicians, two actors who may potentially have a bigger influence on the peace process? Do you see some hope in it?
We do see some hope in it, and of course, I'm thankful for both leaders, and you know, having the opportunity to talk to you at TVP World, Telewizja Polska. I would like to thank Prime Minister Tusk and the Polish people for all the support and all the efforts to establish a just peace in Ukraine.
Thank you very much, Pavlo Sheremeta. It's always good to talk to you, and thank you for your time tonight. Stay safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna.
And this concludes this edition of World Talks here on TVP World. But please stay tuned for more news and features coming up next.